Bartholomew Thorne considers the sales office of the Pinnacle to be his personal kingdom. It is a space carved from Italian marble, chrome, and hushed ambition. The air itself seems filtered, smelling of expensive leather and a faint, floral scent that costs more per ounce than most people's groceries. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame a breathtaking, almost arrogant, view of the city skyline. This is not just an office, it is a throne room, and from his polished obsidian desk, Bartholomew reigns. He is a man built from the same materials as the room, hard, polished, and exorbitantly priced. His suit, a tailored masterpiece of charcoal gray, fits him like a second skin. His hair, a perfect silver coif, shows no sign of rebellion. His smile is a precision instrument, deployed to charm, to disarm, or to dismiss. Mostly, to dismiss. He believes in a natural order. There are those who belong in a building like the Pinnacle, and there are those who do not. It is his job, his sacred duty, to be the gatekeeper. He does not sell apartments, he curates a community. He protects a lifestyle. He weeds the garden, ensuring the roses are not troubled by dandelions. His junior associate, Chloe, a young woman with earnest eyes and a perpetual fear of saying the wrong thing, places a crystal glass of sparkling water on his desk. "Mr. Thorne, your 2 o'clock appointment is here." A Mr. and Mrs. Carter. Bartholomew does not look up from his computer screen, where he is admiring the stock portfolio that his commissions have built. "The Carters," he says, the name tasting like ash in his mouth. It is a plain name. A common name. Not a name that belongs on the deed to a multi-million-dollar residence. And what do we know about the Carters, Chloe? Chloe fidgets with the edge of her blazer. "Not much, sir. The appointment was booked online. No notes. They just ticked the box for, interested in Penthouse availability." Bartholomew finally looks up, and the precision smile is gone, replaced by a mask of weary condescension. He scoffs, a small, sharp sound that cuts through the quiet reverence of the office. The Penthouse box. Of course, they did. Everyone dreams, Chloe. It's the American way. It's also a colossal waste of my time. He stands, smoothing the front of his jacket in a gesture of profound self-satisfaction. He is a predator, sleek and patient, and he can smell weakness, or in this case, what he perceives as delusion, from a mile away. "Well, let's not keep the dreamers waiting," he says, his voice dripping with a magnanimity that is entirely false. "Let's go and gently guide them back to reality." He strides from his inner sanctum into the main reception area, a vast, sun-drenched atrium designed to intimidate. And there they are. The Carters. His first impression confirms every prejudice he holds. They are a black couple, perhaps in their late 30s. They are not dressed in the casual armor of the wealthy, no discreet logos, no watches that cost more than a car. The man, David, wears a simple, well-fitting polo shirt and dark jeans. The woman, Imani, is in an elegant but understated sundress. They look like tourists who have wandered into a palace by mistake. They stand not with the easy ownership of prospective buyers, but with the quiet observation of museum-goers. They are looking at a large architectural model of the building in the center of the room, their heads close together as they speak in low tones. Bartholomew's smile returns, sharp and predatory. This will be easier than he thought. An educational moment. A quick, firm lesson in financial stratification, and then he can get back to his real clients. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter," he booms, his voice echoing slightly in the cavernous space. He extends a hand but does not quite close the distance, forcing them to come to him. It is a small, calculated assertion of dominance. David Carter turns. His handshake is firm, his gaze direct. There is a calmness about him that Bartholomew finds vaguely irritating. It does not fit the profile. "Mr. Thorne. Thank you for seeing us." "Bartholomew, please," the agent says, the name rolling off his tongue like a royal title. "Welcome to the Pinnacle. The finest address in the city, and arguably, the country." He gestures vaguely at the opulent surroundings. "Have you had a chance to absorb the atmosphere?" Imani Carter offers a small, polite smile. "It's a beautiful building. The design is remarkable." Her voice is soft, but it carries a note of quiet authority that, like her husband's calm, feels out of place to Bartholomew. "Indeed," Bartholomew says, already shifting into his gatekeeper mode. "It is the pinnacle of luxury, hence the name. Now, I see from your inquiry that you have an interest in our penthouse collection. A bold choice. Very ambitious. He lets the word ambitious hang in the air, weighted with his unspoken judgment. It is a word he uses for children who want to be astronauts. David nods, his expression unreadable. We've been following the construction for years. We're very interested in the view from the top. Ah, the view, Bartholomew says, clasping his hands behind his back and beginning to pace. Everyone wants the view. But the view comes with a certain responsibility. A certain financial altitude, if you will. The air is rather thin up there. He stops and looks at them, his eyes performing a swift, dismissive calculation of their net worth based on their clothes and their skin color. The result is, in his mind, pitifully low. Perhaps, he continues, his tone shifting to that of a patient, condescending teacher, it would be more productive to start with some of our more accessible offerings. We have some lovely two-bedroom units on the lower floors. The Cityscape Collection, we call them. Wonderful starter homes for those looking to get a foothold in the luxury market. He is already turning, gesturing for them to follow him towards a different set of brochures, the ones printed on slightly less glossy paper. Imani does not move. We appreciate the suggestion, Mr. Thorne, but we came to see the penthouse. Bartholomew's smile tightens. The dandelions are proving stubborn. Of course. And I would be happy to facilitate that, once we've gone through the pre-qualification process. It's a simple matter of paperwork, a formality to ensure we don't waste anyone's valuable time. Mine, or yours. He stresses the word mine. David Carter's calm demeanor does not waver. We understand. But we were hoping to see the space first. To get a feel for it. Bartholomew sighs, a theatrical display of exhausted patience. Look, he says, dropping the pretense of politeness for a more direct, paternalistic tone. Let's be realistic. The penthouse is an 8-figure property. It requires a significant portfolio, liquid assets, a verifiable net worth that can withstand the scrutiny of the board. It's not a property you simply get a feel for. He leans in slightly, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. I have clients, captains of industry, old money, people whose names you would recognize, who are vying for that space. The process is rigorous. It is exclusive for a reason. The implication is clear. You are not in that league. You do not belong in this conversation. He expects them to be chastened, perhaps embarrassed. He expects them to retreat, to accept his generous offer to show them the lesser apartments, the ones meant for people like them. Instead, Imani Carter meets his gaze, her own eyes cool and appraising. We're aware of the price, Mr. Thorne. We'd still like to see it. The stubbornness is beginning to grate on Bartholomew's perfectly managed nerves. This is not how the game is played. The uninitiated are supposed to be cowed by the scale of it all. They are supposed to understand their place. Very well, he says, his voice taking on a hard, brittle edge. A quick look. Then we can return to a more practical discussion. He turns and strides toward the private elevator, his back ramrod straight. He does not look back to see if they are following. He knows they are. He feels a surge of cruel satisfaction. He will show them the penthouse. He will let them stand in its magnificent, sun-drenched space. He will let them feel the sheer, crushing weight of its unattainable luxury. He will let them see the kingdom from the throne room, and in doing so, he will remind them, in the most powerful way possible, that they will forever remain peasants at the gate. This will be a lesson they will not soon forget. The private elevator ascends in silence. The only sound is the soft, electronic hum and the faint whisper of the car gliding up the central shaft of the building. Bartholomew stands with his arms crossed, his reflection a stern, imposing figure in the polished bronze doors. He watches the Carters in the reflection. They stand together, not speaking, simply observing the floor numbers climbing at a dizzying rate. They betray no awe. No nervous excitement. This, too, irritates him. They are not performing their assigned roles. The penthouse has its own dedicated elevator, of course, he says, breaking the silence with a piece of information meant to impress. Direct access from the subterranean garage. Complete privacy. An essential feature for our clientele. David nods slowly. Security is important. The response is too simple, too direct. Bartholomew wants gasps. He wants wide eyes. He settles for pressing the attack, layering on the details like suffocating blankets of wealth. The finishes are all custom, naturally. Book-matched marble slabs from a single quarry in Carrara. White oak flooring from a sustainable forest in Germany. The appliances are Gaggenau, the fixtures are Dornbracht. Every single detail was overseen by Jean-Pierre Dubois, the Parisian designer. His fee alone was 7 figures. He pauses, letting the names and numbers settle. He watches their reflections for a flicker of intimidation. He sees nothing but placid interest. It is like trying to impress a stone wall. The elevator glides to a stop with a soft chime. The doors open not into a hallway, but directly into the foyer of the penthouse itself. The effect is intentional, a theatrical reveal of breathtaking scale. The foyer is a gallery, a vast, open space with a 20-foot ceiling. Ahead, the main living area unfolds, a cavern of glass and light that seems to float over the city. The view is everything. It is a God's eye perspective, the entire metropolis laid out like a circuit board, glittering and alive. Bartholomew steps out, turning to face them with a grand, sweeping gesture. "Behold," he says, his voice resonating with the pride of a creator. "The crown of the pinnacle." He expects them to falter, to be overwhelmed. But David and Imani step into the space with an unhurried grace. They walk past him, their footsteps echoing softly on the imported oak, and move toward the massive wall of windows. They stand there for a long moment, side by side, looking out at the city spread below them. Bartholomew feels a familiar pang of ownership. He has stood in this spot with billionaires, with celebrities, with foreign dignitaries. He has seen their reactions. He has seen the hunger, the naked desire to possess this view, to own this piece of the sky. The Carters, however, just look. They absorb it, their posture relaxed, their presence calm. "It's quite a view," Imani says finally, her voice soft. "Quite a view." Bartholomew repeats, a short, incredulous laugh escaping his lips. "My dear woman, this is not a view. This is a statement. This is power. From here, you don't just see the city, you command it." He walks over to them, standing a little too close, invading their space. He points a manicured finger toward a distant skyscraper. "You see that building? The headquarters of Sterling Enterprises. The man who built it lives 3 floors below us. He couldn't get this apartment. This is the true peak. He is laying it on thick, but he cannot help himself. Their composure is a challenge to his entire worldview. He needs to break it. He needs to see a crack in their serene facade. Now," he says, clapping his hands together briskly, his tone shifting back to business. "You've seen it. The dream. It's magnificent, isn't it? An inspiration. Something to work towards." He begins to herd them back towards the elevator, a shepherd guiding his flock back to their humble pasture. "And with that inspiration in mind, let's go discuss some options that are a bit more grounded." David turns from the window, his gaze finally leaving the skyline and settling on Bartholomew. The calmness is still there, but now it is sharpened, focused. "You keep mentioning other options, Mr. Thorne. Are you not interested in selling this one?" The directness of the question catches Bartholomew off guard. "Of course, I'm interested in selling it. I'm interested in selling it to a qualified buyer. That is my fiduciary duty to my client, the owner." "And you've decided we're not qualified," Imani states. It is not a question. Bartholomew feels a flush of anger. The audacity. He decides to end this charade once and for all. He will be blunt. He will be cruel. It is a kindness, in a way. The world is a cruel place, they need to understand its rules. "Let me be perfectly frank," he says, his voice dropping to a low, conspiratorial murmur, but with an unmistakable edge of steel. "I have been in this business for 25 years. I can spot a serious buyer from a mile away. I know their habits, their clothes, their watches, the way they carry themselves. I know the look of real money." He lets his eyes drift over them again, this time with open disdain. Over David's simple polo shirt. Over Imani's unadorned sundress. "You," he says, the word hanging in the air like a judgment, "are tourists. You are here for the thrill, for the story you can tell your friends. And that's fine. I get it. But this is my office. This is my time. And my time is extremely valuable. He takes a step back, his posture radiating finality. I admire the ambition, I truly do. But some doors just aren't meant to be opened by everyone. Maybe you should try looking at listings in a neighborhood more suited to your background. I have a colleague who specializes in up-and-coming areas. I could give you his card. There it is. The line. He has crossed it deliberately, with surgical precision. He has laid his prejudice bare, dressing it up as professional advice. He has told them, in no uncertain terms, that they do not belong here because of who they are. He watches them, waiting for the anger, the hurt, the inevitable retreat. This is the breaking point. This is where the lesson is learned. A profound silence descends upon the room, broken only by the faint, distant hum of the city below. The sunlight streams through the glass, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny, silent witness. Imani Carter looks at her husband. David gives a nearly imperceptible nod. Then, David's phone buzzes. The sound is soft, but in the oppressive silence, it rings out like a gunshot. Bartholomew flinches. He is annoyed by the interruption to his perfectly crafted moment of dismissal. I would appreciate it if you'd take that outside, he snaps. David does not move. He pulls the phone from his pocket, his movements deliberate and unhurried. He glances at the screen. A small, almost imperceptible smile touches his lips. He answers the call, putting it on speaker. David, my boy. Are you there yet? How's the view? The voice that fills the penthouse is old, gravelly, and crackles with an unmistakable power. It is a voice accustomed to being obeyed, a voice that has built and broken fortunes. Bartholomew Thorne freezes. His blood runs cold. He knows that voice. Every high-end broker in the city knows that voice. It is the voice of a ghost, a legend. It belongs to Atticus Sterling, the reclusive, monstrously wealthy owner of Sterling Enterprises. The owner of this very building. David's calm voice fills the room. We're here, Mr. Sterling. The view is spectacular. Good, good, the voice on the phone crackles. And how is my men on the ground? Thorne. Is he taking good care of you? Bartholomew's heart hammers against his ribs. A cold sweat breaks out on his forehead. His carefully constructed world is beginning to fracture. David glances at Bartholomew, his eyes holding a new light, not anger, but something far more dangerous, pity. Your man, Thorne, has been unhelpful, David says, his voice even. He seems to think we're in the wrong place. There is a pause on the other end of the line. When Atticus Sterling speaks again, all warmth is gone. His voice is a shard of ice. Is that so? Put him on. David holds the phone out to Bartholomew. The agent stares at the small device as if it were a venomous snake. His hands are trembling. His mind is a maelstrom of confusion and terror. The Carters? Plain, simple Carters. How could they know Atticus Sterling? Bartholomew stammers, his own voice a foreign, reedy thing. Don't waste my time, Thorne, Sterling's voice barks from the phone. Did you, or did you not, show my guests the respect they are due? Mr. Sterling, sir. There's been a misunderstanding, Bartholomew manages to choke out, his throat tight with panic. The only misunderstanding, the voice snaps, is your belief that you are still employed by me. We are proceeding with the cash offer for the penthouse. The full asking price. My lawyers will be in touch with the Carters to finalize the details. As for you, your services are no longer required. The line goes dead. Silence returns, heavier and more suffocating than before. David lowers his phone and slips it back into his pocket. The power dynamic in the room has not just shifted, it has been annihilated and rebuilt from the ground up. Bartholomew Thorne, the king, is now a prisoner in his own throne room. The tourists, the dreamers, are now his executioners. His face, moments ago a mask of smug superiority, has collapsed. It is pale, slack-jawed, his eyes wide with a horror that is just beginning to dawn. He looks from David to Imani, his mind struggling to process the cataclysmic reversal of fortune. Who? Who are you? He whispers, the words barely audible. It is Imani who answers. She steps forward, her demeanor transformed. The quiet politeness is gone, replaced by a formidable, crystalline intelligence. She holds a slim tablet in her hand, which had been in her purse. She taps the screen, and it comes to life. Let me introduce us properly, she says, her voice calm and precise, the voice of a surgeon about to make the first incision. My name is Dr. Imani Carter. I am the Chief Investment Strategist for the Sterling Family Trust. David is the head of the Sterling Foundation, the charitable arm of the enterprise. We oversee a portfolio with assets north of $50 billion. She pauses, letting the number land with the force of a physical blow. Mr. Sterling, she continues, prefers to remain private. When he, or anyone in his family, makes a personal acquisition, we handle it quietly. We were instructed to purchase this penthouse as a personal residence for our family. We came here today, dressed like this, to see how his frontline employees treat people when they think no one of importance is watching. She looks him directly in the eye. You have failed the test, Mr. Thorne. Spectacularly. Bartholomew stumbles back, his legs weak. He bumps into a ridiculously expensive designer armchair and sinks into it, his body suddenly devoid of strength. No, it's a mistake. A test. Oh, it's no mistake, Imani says, her voice turning colder. She taps her tablet again. Bartholomew Thorne. Licensed since 1998. Commission rate, 3%. In the last 5 years, you have closed 42 deals in Sterling-owned properties alone. Your total commission from our company has been just shy of $12 million. Her finger swipes across the screen. An email appears, projected holographically in the air between them by a picoprojector in the tablet. Bartholomew's eyes widen in terror. It is his email. This is an email you sent to a colleague 2 weeks ago, Imani says, her voice a clinical monotone. Regarding a prospective client, the Chin family. You wrote, and I quote, another tire kicker from the east. Dragged them around the 20th floor to shut them up, then sent them on their way. They'll end up buying in Chinatown anyway. She swipes again. Another email. And this one, regarding the Patels, who inquired about a 3-bedroom. Smelled like curry. The board would have a fit. I told them it was already under contract. It wasn't, Mr. Thorne. It was sold 2 months later to a white family for $50,000 less than the Patel's initial verbal offer. Swipe. A third email. And my personal favorite. Regarding a single mother, a successful black surgeon named Dr. Allen. She's got the cash, but she's got a kid. We're not running a daycare here. I'm steering her toward the meridian. It's more diverse. Imani lowers the tablet, the projected emails vanishing, leaving afterimages burned into Bartholomew's retinas. It seems you're not just a racist, Mr. Thorne. You're an equal opportunity bigot. You have been actively violating the Fair Housing Act for years, using coded language and outright lies to curate your precious community. You have cost Sterling Enterprises millions in potential sales and exposed the company to enormous legal liability. Bartholomew's face is ashen. He opens his mouth to speak, but only a dry, croaking sound comes out. He is looking at more than the end of his job. He is looking at the utter demolition of his life. How, he finally manages to rasp. How did you get those? When Atticus Sterling tells his chief strategist to vet a purchase, she vets everything, Imani says simply. That includes the people involved. Your company email server is owned by Sterling Enterprises. I have had access to every message you have sent or received for the past 7 years. The finality of her words is absolute. There is no defense. There is no escape. He has been caught in a trap of his own making, sprung by the very people he deemed unworthy to even breathe the same air. He begins to blubber, the carefully constructed facade of the sophisticated real estate magnate shattering into a million pathetic pieces. Please. Please, I have a family. A mortgage. I can apologize. I'll do anything. David Carter, who has remained silent throughout Imani's systematic dismantling of Thorne's life, finally speaks. His voice is quiet, but it cuts through the agent's pathetic pleading. You had a chance to be a decent human being, David says. It would have cost you nothing. You could have just shown us the apartment. But you couldn't, could you? Your prejudice was more important than your professionalism. He shakes his head slowly, a look of profound disappointment on his face. You don't see people, Mr. Thorne. You see categories. You see obstacles. You see people who don't belong in your world. Just then, the private elevator chimes again. The bronze doors slide open. Standing in the elevator is not Atticus Sterling. It is his presence, personified. Two men in severe, dark suits, their faces impassive, their posture rigid. Behind them stands Chloe, the junior associate. Her face is pale, and she is holding a cardboard box. Her eyes are filled with a mixture of terror and, surprisingly, resolve. The two men step out. They are from Sterling's corporate security. They do not look at the Carters. Their entire focus is on the crumbling figure of Bartholomew Thorne. One of them speaks, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. Bartholomew Thorne. You are to vacate the premises immediately. Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. Your access codes have been revoked. You will be escorted to your office to collect your personal belongings. Nothing else. Chloe steps forward timidly, holding out the cardboard box. They told me to pack your desk, she says, her voice trembling slightly. In the box are a framed family photo, a stupid mug that says, World's Best Broker, and a pudding practice cup. The sad, meager artifacts of a fallen king. Chloe, you can't let them do this. Thorne pleads, his eyes wild with desperation. Tell them. Tell them it's a mistake. Chloe looks at Thorne, and for the first time, the fear in her eyes is replaced by a quiet strength. I can't, Mr. Thorne, she says, her voice gaining firmness. Because it's not a mistake. She turns to Imani. Mrs. Carter. Dr. Carter. I'm so sorry. I've seen him do this before. To other families. I was too afraid to say anything. He told me I'd be fired, that he'd blackball me in this city. She takes a deep breath. I have my own records. Dates, names, what he said. I was going to go to the housing authority next week. I swear I was. Imani gives the young woman a soft, encouraging smile. We know, Chloe. We read your emails to your sister, too. You're going to be fine. This final betrayal seems to be the blow that completely shatters Bartholomew. The knowledge that even his meekest subordinate was plotting against him. He slumps in the chair, a broken man, all the fight gone out of him. The security guards hoist him to his feet. His expensive suit is rumpled, his face is slick with sweat. He is no longer a king. He is just a man in a bad suit, being evicted from a life he stole. As they guide him toward the elevator, his legs shuffling, his gaze fixed on the floor, David speaks one last time. We just wanted to see the view, Thorne, he says, his voice echoing in the vast, silent room. You showed us yours instead. And it was ugly. The elevator doors slide shut, sealing Bartholomew Thorne away. The sound is a quiet, decisive finality. The penthouse is silent once more. The sunlight continues to pour in. The city glitters below, indifferent. Imani and David walk back to the window, standing together in the exact spot where they had stood before. Chloe remains by the elevator, unsure of what to do next. After a long moment, Imani turns to her. Chloe, she says, her voice warm again. Mr. Sterling has authorized me to offer you Mr. Thorne's position, effective immediately. With a significant raise and full commission. The penthouse listing is now yours to manage. Chloe's eyes well up with tears. Me. But. You have integrity, David says simply. That's more valuable to us than a killer instinct. We need better gatekeepers. He smiles. Your first duty is to finalize the sale of this penthouse. To us. Chloe lets out a shaky laugh, wiping a tear from her cheek. Yes, sir. Mr. Carter. Right away, she looks around the magnificent space, her expression a mix of awe and dawning possibility. A door had closed for one man, and in its place, a whole new world had just opened for her. David and Imani turn back to the window. They have the view now. It is theirs. But the victory is not in the ownership of the property. The victory is in the quiet, methodical demolition of a petty tyrant and the system that enabled him. It is a victory for every family he dismissed, every person he belittled. The air in the penthouse seems cleaner now. Lighter. The fallout is not a storm, it is a controlled demolition. Swift, precise, and absolute. For Bartholomew Thorne, the elevator ride down is the beginning of an endless descent. He is frog-marched through the opulent sales office, past the stunned faces of his former colleagues. The whispers follow him like a pack of wolves. The security guards do not let him use the main exit. He is taken through a service corridor, past the janitorial closets and recycling bins, and ejected into a grimy back alley. The heavy steel door slams shut behind him, the sound echoing his new reality. His corporate credit cards are declined before he even reaches the street. His company car, a gleaming black Mercedes, is remotely locked. He is forced to call a taxi, a humiliating act for a man who used to have a driver. The next morning, the legal assault begins. A team of lawyers from Sterling Enterprises files a lawsuit against him. Not for discrimination, that would be too messy and open the company to liability. Instead, they sue him for breach of fiduciary duty and intentional brand damage. They quantify every lost sale, every client he turned away, and present a claim for $27 million. His assets are frozen. His home, a sprawling McMansion in a gated community, is placed under a lien. Simultaneously, an anonymous tip, complete with copies of his most damning emails and Chloe's meticulous records, is sent to the State Real Estate Commission and the National Fair Housing Alliance. An investigation is launched. His license is suspended pending the outcome. Every major brokerage in the city receives a quiet warning from Sterling Enterprises: hiring Bartholomew Thorne would be considered an unfriendly act. He is blackballed, not just in the city, but nationally. The name that was once his key to every exclusive door is now a mark of Cain. His wife, a woman who married him for his status and the lifestyle it afforded, leaves him within a month. She takes the children, the art collection, and what little money was in their joint accounts. The divorce is brutal and quick. He is left with nothing but his tailored suits, which now hang on him like a scarecrow's rags. He is forced to sell the suits, the watches, the cufflinks. He moves into a dingy one-bedroom apartment on the far side of town, in one of the very neighborhoods he used to so casually disparage. The irony is lost on him, buried under a mountain of self-pity. He tries to find work, but his reputation precedes him. The story, in hushed and exaggerated tones, has spread through the industry. He is a pariah. Ultimately, he finds a job at a cut-rate used car dealership. He spends his days under the buzzing fluorescent lights of a shabby office, trying to convince people with bad credit to buy 10-year-old sedans. The man who once sold the sky now sells lemons. His booming voice is reduced to a wheedling, desperate pitch. The precision smile is gone, replaced by a permanent, greasy smirk. He is a ghost haunting the ruins of his own life, a living testament to the high cost of cheap prejudice. For the heroes, the rewards are as profound as Thorne's punishment was severe. David and Imani Carter move into the penthouse. They do not fill it with ostentatious art or gaudy furniture. They create a home. It is a space of warmth, filled with books, music, and the laughter of friends. They host fundraisers for the Sterling Foundation, using the breathtaking view not as a symbol of power, but as a tool for inspiration, raising millions for scholarships, community centers, and legal aid funds. Atticus Sterling, deeply impressed by their integrity and appalled by the rot they uncovered in his own organization, gives them the penthouse as a gift. He refuses their payment. Instead, he asks them to spearhead a new initiative within Sterling Enterprises, a corporate social responsibility division with real teeth. Imani designs a new, rigorous vetting and training program for all sales associates, focused on ethics, implicit bias, and the legal ramifications of discrimination. It becomes the gold standard in the industry, and Sterling Enterprises begins marketing itself not just on luxury, but on integrity. David uses the foundation's resources to create a new fund dedicated to fighting housing discrimination. They partner with the National Fair Housing Alliance, providing the resources to investigate and prosecute agents like Thorne across the country. They name the initiative the Pinnacle Project. Chloe thrives in her new role. Guided by Imani's mentorship, she discovers she has a natural talent for the business, one that was suppressed by Thorne's toxic leadership. She is empathetic, honest, and incredibly effective. She quickly becomes the top-performing agent in the company, shattering all of Thorne's old sales records. She sells homes, not lifestyles. She helps people find their place in the city, regardless of their background. She uses her newfound influence to mentor other young women entering the field, creating a culture of support and collaboration where Thorne had fostered fear and competition. She buys her own first apartment, a beautiful 2-bedroom in a building across the park. From her balcony, she can just see the top of the pinnacle, a reminder not of a bad memory, but of the day her life truly began. The systemic change is real and lasting. The lawsuit against Thorne sends a shockwave through the city's real estate community. Agents and brokers scramble to review their practices, terrified of attracting the attention of Sterling Enterprises and its new, aggressive ethics division. The Pinnacle Project successfully litigates a dozen high-profile cases in its first year, leading to license revocations and massive settlements. The rules of the game have changed. The garden is being tended by new gardeners, and the weeds are being pulled, one by one. 6 months later. The sun is setting, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and deep violet. The city lights below begin to twinkle, a galaxy of human endeavor spread out before them. David and Imani Carter are on their terrace. The Penthouse terrace. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves of the small olive trees they have planted in large earthenware pots. The sound of soft jazz drifts from inside. They are not alone. Chloe is with them, raising a glass of champagne. To the best clients, and the best bosses, a person could ask for, she says, her smile genuine and bright. Atticus Sterling is there as well, making a rare public appearance. He is a frail-looking man in his 80s, but his eyes are sharp and clear. He leans on a simple wooden cane, looking out at the empire he built. I spent 50 years building all this, he says, his gravelly voice quiet. And I never realized how rotten the foundations were until you two came along. Thank you. David clinks his glass against Sterling's. You just needed a new building inspector, Atticus. They share a laugh, a comfortable, easy sound that fills the evening air. Later, after their guests have left, Imani and David stand alone by the glass railing, looking down at the world they now see from a different perspective. It is more than just a home. It is a responsibility. A platform. Do you ever think about him? Imani asks softly. Thorne. David is silent for a moment, watching the endless river of headlights flowing through the city's arteries. Sometimes, he admits. I think about how small his world was. He stood in this very spot, surrounded by all this possibility, and the only thing he could see were the walls he built in his own mind. He turns to her, taking her hand. He thought the view was about power over other people. He never understood. The real view, the only one that matters, is the one that lets you see a better future. The moral of the story is not complicated. It is etched into the glass of every window in that penthouse. Arrogance is a cage masquerading as a throne. Prejudice is a blindness that robs you of the ability to see the world as it is, in all its rich and varied splendor. Bartholomew Thorne thought he was the gatekeeper of a kingdom in the sky. He believed it was his right to decide who was worthy of walking its halls. But in his desperate effort to keep the wrong people out, he only succeeded in locking himself in a prison of his own making. He tried to slam a door in the face of two people he deemed beneath him, never realizing that door was the emergency exit to his own collapsing life. True power is not the ability to exclude. It is the wisdom to include. It is the grace to see the humanity in everyone, not just the reflection of yourself. In the end, Bartholomew Thorne was not defeated by wealth or influence. He was defeated by a simple, undeniable truth: a person's character is the one thing they can never sell, and the one thing they can never afford to lose.